So I'm here at COP28 and I have the pleasure to be with Bo Cerup-Simonsen, who is the CEO of the Mærsk Mc-Kinney Møller Center for Zero Carbon Shipping. Bo, we've just come out of a really interesting panel today talking about how collaboration should work across the maritime value chain to decarbonize shipping. Today you've had a big announcement, you've talked about green corridors. I'm just wondering if you could explore what that announcement was and why that has become such a success for the center.
I think our sector has gone from having a dream, if you go back 5 or 10 years, of being part of the transition, yet you can say that initiatives, activities were very sort of component based in the system, a little bit here, a little bit there, kind of anecdotal. What we're seeing now is that community of leaders across the system, from energy producers, from utilities, ports, logistics providers, shipping companies, cargo owners, financial institutions, and cargo owners. That system is now coming together. It is collaborating to create visions. It is collaborating to create pathways. It's collaborating to even create some of the work, some of the solutions needed in the pre-competitive space. So concepts for new technical designs, concepts for new business frameworks, concepts and standards to be used in the regulatory regime. And the big thing now of this community coming together is that we can start to imagine or reimagine, if you will, how that future business system is going to look and what it actually means on a very concrete level. So what we have done here at the COP is that we have presented, announced a number of activities around the green corridors. And the green corridors is for us exactly that. It is the realization of that new business system, seen from a technical perspective, seen from a business and finance perspective, and seen from the regulatory and standard setting and permitting perspective. And so we have worked very concretely with stakeholders in various green corridors to make that concrete. And one of the recent examples is the work we have done with the Chilean ministries and companies in Chile to demonstrate how Chile can produce fuel, how they can transport it to ports, how they can retrofit the ports, how they can enable, for example, transportation of copper out of Chile on ships that can run on these new fuels. And like I said, you need to engage a lot of stakeholders in that, and you need to turn it down to a techno-economic description of what are you tangibly going to do.
And I guess that was my question is, all these different actors, all with a different intent and a different reason to be in a green corridor. How do you get them to actually work together? Because sometimes language in itself is a barrier, but language from different parts of the value chain really come to a fore.
So first of all, you need to achieve the goodwill to the mission. You need to have a credible narrative about why we are doing this. And the Mærsk Mc-Kinney Møller Center for Zero Carbon Shipping is privileged to have that narrative built into our DNA. We are for the greater good. We are a philanthropic donation to the ecosystem. So when we go to Chile or now to Africa, with Namibia, when we go to Asia, we go there for the greater good, not to make profits. And I think that's really the starting point. So people can come onto our platform, and on that platform, we strive to create this safe space of collaboration where we can share ideas and we can share data and so on up to a certain level, and thereby also create a space. The rules need to be clear. The rules of the games really need to be clear on what we want to do and can do and what we cannot do in that space.
And I think it's, testament to that is if you look at the number of partnerships that you've had, it's almost become exponential. The value proposition you provide by the industry is for sure unique. I want to take a little bit of a turn here, and everybody talks about the need for regulation, and we saw some big moves of that during the summer at MEPC 80, but regulation is going to take time to come. What do we need to do now? What do owners, operators, fuel providers, what is it now they can do rather than just waiting those years for these things to come in place?
There's a lot of work to be done now in order to get a really good upscaling of the transition. So at this point in time, we really need that community of leaders, those that are willing to lean in and start working on this without having a classical business case, because there is not today. So you cannot manage, you cannot finance, resource these activities the way you normally can with business cases. So companies lean in, and we are seeing that companies start to lean in. They dare to have a vision in the company. They dare to set objectives in the company of reduction targets. And they manage a culture internally, which is very different from an old culture that was more like a management culture with KPIs and performances and so on. And you would look at how you could incrementally sort of improve the machinery. Now you need to be blunt, set objectives into a space that you don't even know how you're going to fulfill, and manage that culture internally. And then you need to be able also as a senior executive to turn around towards your owners, towards the shareholders and stock markets and so on, and explain, we know what we're doing, we're gonna return something to you sometime, it may be a bumpy road, but that communication, one way towards the owners where you need stability and predictability and solidity and so on, and then something else towards your employees and your company. That's one of the big things, one of the big challenges in this.
So we've got the regulation sorted, we've got the technology sorted, and now it's a people topic. It's a leadership topic.
It's very much a leadership topic. It's a leadership topic on all levels, all the way from the top executives who need to make the difficult or challenging communication that I just explained, and then all the way down through the organization to the individual person. I think we're privileged today with a new wave of employees coming in, new talent, looking for jobs that are looking for a new kind of work environment, where there is a purpose, where there is a freedom to innovate, and yet there are requirements and there is discipline and you need to perform. And that's the kind of people needed, and it's a kind of culture that needs to be stimulated. Deliver, but keep the dream alive, keep the vision alive, keep the view on the horizon at the same time.
Nice, I like it, Bo. And my last question is, this COP this year has been, it's been in the press, there's been controversy, there's been some very positive things coming out of it. I'm just wondering, from your time here, what's that one thing that gives you hope that we're on the right direction? What's that discussion or that interview that you've had where you've gone, okay, we're on the right track here?
I think that is more an emotional thing than an analytical thing, actually. It's more meeting people eye to eye and talking about, is this genuine or is it just, numbers? And so the leaders that I have met at this COP are very genuine about it. They want their businesses or they want their authorities to be part of this solution shaping the future. And I have met tremendously strong leaders from enormously strong companies that genuinely want to do that. Some of them are in the center, fortunately, and we have 100 organizations now working with us, and they lean in. They start to order ships that can run on new fuel types. They start to retrofit ports. Cargo owners start to make changes in their procurement. They make ESG strategies. They start to lean in. And I think this concretization of the transition that we're seeing now, that's not waiting for regulation. Regulation is creating confidence that it is coming, but it is really down to individual leadership, people believing in the pathway and in the objective and the purpose, and then doing something about it. And that, for company leaders, means actually spending resources, spending leadership bandwidth on this, spending real resources, whatever that is, whether it's time or money, on exploring, experimenting, setting targets, and working to change the culture to become part of this. And to your question, the reason I have confidence is that I see and I sense a lot of that amongst the leaders today.
Very good. Bo, thank you so much for taking the time, and a huge congratulations to you and all the people at the center in Copenhagen for all the tremendous work that you're doing. It really is inspiring, and it's inspiring an industry at the moment to make that transition. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.